Last week on the show, we featured Godfrey Chigoye, a Masaka-based vanilla farmer. His passion and hard work in growing the crop has earned his family great strides in farming, expanding from half an acre to almost 20 acres of land, incorporating animal production and improving his father's legacy. He owes it all to vanilla. One of the reasons for this success was the impressive price of this commodity. The vanilla prices have been rising over the last few years due to increased demand against very low supply of quality beans. In Uganda, prices reached as high as Uganda shillings 250,000 in July 2018 for green vanilla beans at the farm gate. It is not surprising to hear that vanilla is now referred to as the green gold. Regrettably, however, we have observed that each time vanilla prices rise, we receive cases of theft, widespread premature vanilla harvesting, which ultimately compromises the quality of the Ugandan vanilla. On the second part of vanilla production, we look at pre- and post-harvest farm management, mitigating the risks involved, adding value, and securing the markets. Coming up on Seeds of Gold.
Vanilla is wanted because it is grown under natural conditions. So, by growing vanilla, you protect the environment. Once you start growing vanilla, you will never stop unless it is certainly disturbing you. And any home which starts growing vanilla, that home will always remain rich.
Vanilla is one of the few unique orchids known to bring in a lot of money from its sweet aroma and vanillin. It's considered a forest plant that requires natural growing conditions and can be grown as an intercrop, all of which pose suitable advantages for any growing farmer provided good management is adhered to before harvesting the pods. Musoke Tamale is a long-serving vanilla farmer and businessman in the trade. Having founded the first vanilla exporting company in Uganda, he highlights the advantages of growing this crop and managing the outcomes.
You see, vanilla has several advantages. Vanilla is wanted because it is grown under natural conditions. So, by growing vanilla, you protect the environment and nature. Secondly, when you grow vanilla, it's a must that you have to plant trees to create a canopy. Without a canopy, you will not get good results in vanilla. And thirdly, you have to plant a mother plant where it creeps. Vanilla encourages intercropping. You don't have to be with a big garden of, say, 3-4 acres. You can intercrop your vanilla in coffee, you can intercrop it in bananas, you can intercrop it in a natural forest, so as long as you will not apply two things. That is any chemical, let it be pesticide, all fertilizers, chemical fertilizers. Secondly, you are not going to dig in that garden because the roots of vanilla are just on the surface. Once you apply a hoe, you'll cut them and the plant will get withered.
Vanilla is highly associated with risks of theft, weather storms and price fluctuations, among others. But how do we mitigate the risks to ensure better returns from a vanilla garden?
The first risk is those so-called diseases that when you are just starting, you start with a poor vine or a sick vine or affected vine. It will affect you up to the end. So the way to tell is when you, like I told you earlier, that when you are planting, go from, or at least pick from a healthy garden, you pick a healthy vine. And I told you how to see a healthy vine. By the way, for the vanilla, it is very okay. You just look at its green, the leaves. They are bright, they are very green, darker green. That shows that the thing, and then the thickness should be over your finger. Everyone has a finger, whatever. I don't think that the one who has a finger that is an inch, at least. That one. So that's the first mistake. How to mitigate? Get from a garden that is free, that has good what? Vines. By the major risk in vanilla is theft. So from the first day, know that there is a risk, theft. How to mitigate? Yes. People, me, I'm poor. I cannot afford an askari from, say, Askaris, where you can pay him with a gun 500,000. 2 of them 1 million per month. Times 9 months to the 9 million. From which garden? 100 by 10. Or 100 by 100. Will you get 10 million from 100 by 100? So when you look at it and say, me, I cannot afford an ASCAD, so let me leave. No. Look at other options. Put a fence. Dear live fence, a kilo of mukwatango, that thing that grows thorns, it has thorns all over, on a leaf, on a stem, everywhere. That one alone, a kilo goes for 25,000 and can plant an acre, a boundary equivalent to an acre.
These days we encourage the farmers to plant reeds around their gardens in order to defend their gardens from, say, thieves, from neighbors, say, pigs and chicken. So with these reeds grown around the gardens, of course, one of the issues which you have to apply in vanilla growing is you have to mulch. These days we've learned short of land and bush. So once you've cut these papyrus or reeds, you can use them for mulching, and at the same time you can feed them on your cattle and goats so that you can get composite manure for your garden. So vanilla is a multi-purpose stimulating plant, because once you start growing vanilla, you will never stop unless it is certainly disturbing you. And any home which starts growing vanilla, that home will always remain rich.
This risk, the so-called market, and the infrastructure. What I mean by infrastructure, you may find that you have a garden where people cannot even access. That also can give you headache, but sometimes when you are to do this, make sure that you have made good research. You know where you're going to sell these things. I've found it from my other farmers where, by the way, they just cry, please, Mwami Kigoye, can you help us? We have 2 kilograms of vanilla. If I'm to drive to, say, 200 kilometers to pick 2 kilograms, it is not worth it. You get it? So people out there, look at what you are doing and where is the market. Put a volume that can do what? We have 3 factors that apply if you are to find a market as a risk number 3. You need to look at the quality of your product, the quantity, which is the volume, and the consistency. Those 3 things apply if you are to get a good market. So look at the volume. What do you have? That's why I did persuade other people around here so that they can, instead of kugagawalanze car, being rich alone, I made other people so become rich so that we can share risks when we are many.
But above all, you can grow it in a very small area with our modern farming techniques, whereby the plant can survive for over 50 years and you can harvest 30 to 40 kilos a year. So you don't need a huge garden. You just need some 20 to 50 plants. As for the vanilla market is always guaranteed, it's always there. But what matters is the price. Normally the price fluctuates up and down. But as a peasant grower, you have to be prepared for that. And for us, what we've specialized in is to gauge the market demands and specs, which helps us to mobilize production. However, you will never satisfy the vanilla market because there are over 500 products they make out of it. So the demand is always there, but the price fluctuates. In this regard, what you have to do is to make sure that you produce the best quality for the market so that you can always have a name in the market. Like Timex, we are no authority in the external market. We know what the market wants. And Uganda is capable of producing exactly what the market wants. What helps us most in the market is our vanilla has the least chemical residue because it's grown almost 100% organic. But because the organic market is niche, it's very small, post-harvest management controls a lot the quality. We are blessed that once you have harvested your ripe beans, they can stay for a month, 2 months without getting spoiled. So there is no danger in overkeeping them. By the way, the longer you keep them after you've harvested the beans, the better. Because in vanilla they buy two things, aroma and vanillin. But the aroma, whenever you see a product where they need aroma, it requires fermentation. And the fermentation is not sun drying, it's a process. So farmers should not get worried that they have harvested and they are going to run out of time to keep the harvested beans. However, they only lose one thing. Every night which passes after you have harvested, beans lose moisture and they become weightless. There is no need why you have to keep the beans in water overnight because you want them to be heavy. And you bring them to me as if they have just been harvested that very morning. Yeah, you shouldn't get worried at all once you have harvested and there's no ready market for you. You can keep your beans for a week, for 2 weeks. They will not get spoiled as long as they are harvested when they are mature, which normally leads us to the exercise of value addition through processing. Because what we are dedicated to is to train the farmers, the entire chain, growing, farm maintenance, and processing.
Harvesting mature pods is one of the major factors known to differentiate between reaping big and potentially losing your capital investment. But how do you tell what a mature vanilla pod is?
Actually, we have always been finding a lot of farmers getting confused and excited. Normally, if it's, for example, the coming December harvest, we are now having beans which are coming up because the plant is flowering. They mix the two. Those for July, which are now flowering, and the December, January, which are ready almost. It's just only November. So the only natural test we use is we get the pod and you press it with your thumb. If it's mature, it will never break into two. In the past, we used to pick only the yellow beans or orange beans, which are mature. And the harvesting could take, say, a month. However, due to insecurity, you don't have a lot of boys who don't want to work. Once you pick only the mature beans, these guys will get back in the garden and steal whatever you have left mature. So what we have advised the farmers to do is we harvest one day. We pick everything. Because the flowering, the pollination takes about 2 months. We wait for the last beans to be pollinated to mature also, so that When you are harvesting, you must have some split beans.
Still to come, the process of drying and curing vanilla beans to maximize sales. Once ripe, the vanilla pods need harvesting, and to sort the problem of market for the commodity, we look into 4 stages necessary for processing the vanilla beans in order to secure better market prices. This will involve dipping, sweating, drying, and conditioning.
Normally we encourage farmers with big harvests to learn how to add value to process. And at times, we encourage them, say, to sell 40% to solve their immediate needs, their immediate financial needs, and process the 60% of the harvest. Because there is more money in processed beans than in green beans. These days you need a woolen blanket, you need a saucepan, you need fire, you need a box made up of wool, you need sisal sacks. Never use anything polythene because it has its contamination values and we don't encourage them to use it. So you get the beans, wash them. When you have some water already boiling there on the fire, you don't boil the water to the boiling point, but once it starts warming up, getting ready to start boiling, that's when you can assess that yes, the temperature is between 75 and 85 degrees. And then you collect your washed beans, stuff them in the sack. This sack must be pierced with holes. And then you dip that sack in that hot water.
To ferment the beans, it's important to stop the process of photosynthesis by immersing the beans under hot water for about 1 minute or 2, not more, before engaging in a series of sun exposures.
You make sure that water filters out, and then you take the beans to already prepared box, wooden box, lined with woolen blankets, and you pour in the beans. Then you cover with that temperature and warmth. Then you get back to the fire, put in another lot in the sack, dip it in the water, run, take it in the box, cover it.
The wooden boxes act as storage that facilitate the sweating and fermenting process under the warm, moist blankets.
Once you've finished the exercise of warming the beans, then you keep the beans in that box for about 48 hours. Covered, well covered. And then on that 3rd day you come, you open the box, you'll find that they are still warm. You expose them so that they cool down. And already you must have another woolen blanket in the sunshine outside. You collect these beans from the box, take them in the sunshine, and they have to stay there for only 30 minutes for that water to dry off. And then you roll it after 30 minutes. When they have absorbed some solar radiation, you cover them with the blanket, take them back in the box.
It's the sweat fermentation process that is responsible for developing the distinct vanilla aroma. But it takes time, as Tamale explains.
Now that process, we call it sweat fermentation. And it's that sweet fermentation process which brings in the aroma. That process can last for about in and out, and you have to sort the beans in lengths, and it can take about 8 weeks. Once you've sorted them, you have to put them in the maturing boxes so that they can mature. So that whatever you have processed matures well and the aroma comes out well.
Once the processing is done, one should sort the beans depending on length and quality. The black beans sold as the premium grade quality, while the brown beans are usually taken for extraction into oils or powdered vanilla. Either ways, the processed beans earn you more than the green beans. Here is an evaluation between the two.
Well, if you are to evaluate the price difference in terms of looking at the cured beans and the green beans and how much you can get on a harvested crop, you have to look into the farm management. If you've taken care of your vines, because naturally vanilla flowers only when the vines are facing down. You must know how to maintain your garden so that you can reap. And the longer the plant it has stayed, the more vines you'll have and the more flowers you'll get. However, you can make a shortcut that instead of putting one vine on a plant, a mother plant when you are planting, you can put on 6 or 5 vines when you are planting so that you have many vines. The more vines you have, the more vanilla you are going to get. Now, if you take, for example, the first harvest, well maintained, you can get, say, 3 or 4 kilograms of green beans.
There are a number of common mistakes many farmers processing vanilla do that lead to loss. Musoke recommends to look out for these.
The first mistake they normally do is, besides not consulting, they process premature beans. That is the biggest mistake which they do. Secondly, when they are in the processing, they think that vanilla is dried like maize or beans. They put the beans outside for the whole day, and that's not the way they do it. You have to keep them in the sunshine for a limited period of time. Maximum 1 hour, minimum 30 minutes. In green beans, you can tell the premature beans by pressing it with your thumb. With the cured beans, a cured bean which is of premium grade, you can roll it around your finger like a rubber and it will never break. Those which were not harvested when they were mature and the processing wasn't good, the minute you roll it, it will break in pieces. So that is our standard size. Besides testing the aroma, you have to test the aroma.
Given the prevailing situations today in prices and the pandemic, this is Musoke's advice.
You can keep these beans as long as up to when you get to the market. And that's why we advise farmers today that don't listen to what is going on in the market because of COVID, the economic depression, there is no demand. Just learn how to add value. Just learn how to process so that you can always keep your beans. And when the market comes, it finds you with what to sell.
Today, the market prices of vanilla may seem unattractive, but remember, the market will always bounce back. Invest well and reap from your seeds of gold.